Sure.
Well, guys, thank you very much for that. Now we come to the final part of our live stream today. It's taken a while to come here, and it's going to be dealing with a comment made in the Malaysian Parliament. For context, so what happened in the Malaysian Parliament is there was discussion on alcohol, and I'm just summing this up real quick. And we have a Minister of Parliament in Malaysia, YB, Dr. Zawawi, who is a Muslim. And basically what he did is he said that all religions condemn the consumption of alcohol. At this point, a Christian in parliament stands up, kind of tries to correct him, saying that the Bible doesn't condemn the consumption of alcohol, it only forbids drunkenness. To which YB Dr. Zawawi says that your Bible has been changed or distorted, I believe is the translation of the Malay word he used. So now this is a question that Christians in Malaysia have been demanding an apology. One of the things I felt is that this is a good opportunity to actually present some light on that. And since Dr. White and Dr. Stephen Boyce are coming here, instead of demanding an apology, now I don't know about you, I don't see the apostles demanding an apology when people said things about them, but I see them responding with gentleness and respect. So that's what my conviction is, at least. So I just want to ask Dr. James White and Dr. Stephen Boyce, experts on the area of textual criticism, please tell us, how would you respond to that?
Well, obviously, this is a subject I've addressed many, many, many times over the past number of decades. In standing with Muslims, there's all sorts of pictures that mean a great deal to me. Standing with Muslims after debates, having excellent conversations with them, and being able to answer so many of these questions. What the gentleman said is a common Islamic understanding, and historically, there are two streams of understanding coming down through the Islamic sources, from the Hadith into the various forms of Sharia law and the commentaries and things like that. And that is the one stream of Muslim thought, understanding that the Quran teaches that the Torah and Injil, the law and the gospel, were nazzal, they were sent down by Allah. And so there have been Muslims down through the ages who are like, well, look, if the Torah and Injil are sent down, we don't like the idea that the actual words could be changed themselves. This is called tarif, the corruption of the text. It can be tarif al-nas or tarif al-mana. So it is in one stream, the idea is that the interpretation of the words, the meaning of the words, has been altered or changed, that they are misinterpreting the text. I think that's the earliest in the Islamic commentary. Some people disagree with that, but I think that it is. And then a little bit later on, especially once Islam begins interacting with Christian scholarship, having to do so once sort of the borders have been established of the Islamic Empire and the Byzantine and so on and so forth, then you start getting accusations that Christians and Jews have actually altered the words themselves. They've changed the words of the text. And you have both those streams going down through history until 1864. And in 1864, you have the publication by an Indian Muslim scholar of Itzar al-Haq. It's a the affirmation or proof of the truth. And what he did is he went into German liberal sources and basically wrote a book against the Bible utilizing these sources and alleging all sorts of contradictions and errors and things like that. Not uncommon that you'd find an atheist using or things like that. That book had a massive influence in the Islamic world. In fact, Ahmadinejad, the most listened to Muslim speaker in the modern age, died, I think, 2005, said that he was made a da'i, a person who does dawah, by reading Itzar al-Haq. So that book made him who he was. Now, I would point out that Ahmadinejad's scholarship on issues of the Bible was horrific. And that would represent the fact that Itzar al-Haq's scholarship is horrific as well. It has been thoroughly refuted by Christian scholars ever since it was written, really. But Muslims don't know that. And so what has happened is, though there were two streams, the one stream that says the Bible has been corrupted in its words has become by far the majority. 99.5% minimally of the Muslims you're going to encounter really do believe that we don't have any idea what the New Testament originally said. We're talking corruption here, not whether it's Hasios or Asamenos in Revelation 16:5. We're talking about corruption on a grand scale of insertion of doctrine, taking out of doctrine, the whole nine yards, is what the average Muslim believes. So this man was not saying something that is not unusual for Muslims to believe all over the world. I've done street preaching in London and standing there talking with Muslims, and that's exactly what they said. That's exactly what they believe. So he's just saying what he himself has been taught. Here's the problem. There is an internal contradiction in Islamic theology. In Surah 5, Surah Al-Ma'idah, in the Quran, you have the presentation of an argument on the part of the Quran. Now remember, in Islamic theology, the Quran has nothing to do with Muhammad. This is not Muhammad's understandings. This is not Muhammad's interpretations. The Quran is written on the heavenly tablet. It is dictated to the angel Jibril, brought down on the Laylat al-Qadr, and it is dictated to Muhammad. He's simply repeating it. His understanding is irrelevant at this point, from the especially Sunni Islamic perspective. And so in the Quran, there is an argument that's presented beginning in Surah 544, Ayah 44, where Allah sends down the Torah. He gives it to Moses. And therefore, the people of the book are to judge by what is in the Torah because it's been sent down. So you've got revelation to Moses, Torah. Then you've got Jesus who comes along, and he does two things. He is given the Injil, and he then confirms literally what is in the hand of the Torah. So there is a chain being forged here. So Jesus confirms the Torah that was given to Moses, and he's given the Injil, and the people of the Injil in Surah 547 are specifically told, the Al-Injil, the people of the gospel, the followers of the Injil, should have judged by what Allah revealed in it, and whoever did not judge by what Allah revealed, those are they that are the transgressors. And so the people of the gospel are to judge by the gospel, okay? Then what do you think comes next? Muhammad and the Quran. And so the Quran is sent down to Muhammad, and he then confirms what is in the hand of the Injil. So see the chain that's been built here, Moses to Jesus to Muhammad. So this is an important argument for the authority of Muhammad and the revelation of the Quran itself. But it causes a problem, because if these words were to have any meaning in the days of Muhammad, then the Jews had to have the Torah to judge. The Christians had to have the Injil to judge, or the exhortation of the Quran means nothing to them. It doesn't have any meaning. And so when did this corruption of the Injil or the Torah take place? If it wasn't before Muhammad, so that Surah 5 can make sense, it couldn't have been afterwards, because as you know, we have entire codices of the Bible that were written long before Muhammad took his first breath. So you couldn't have corruption of the actual words, because we have the actual words written down before Muhammad comes along. So that would mean it would only have to be the interpretation. Apply it to your friend there, the Muslim gentleman, and the reality is the Bible is very clear in what it says about alcohol and drunkenness and the fruit of the vine and all the rest of that stuff. I don't think he was probably using the older, they perverted the meanings thing. He was probably using the more current, they actually perverted the words. But the problem is that then creates an internal problem within the Quran and Surah 5 itself. This is an argument that I've presented to a number of Muslim apologists. And so far, every Muslim apologist has given me a different answer than every other Muslim apologist as to how to deal with that text in Surat Al-Ma'idah. So I think it's, I would not be demanding apologies. I would be using this as an opportunity to say, oh, so you believe this has been changed. Could we look at Surah 5 and then maybe listen to what Jesus said about how his words would never pass away, or something along these lines, and use that as a transition into a gospel presentation of the validity of the text. And this would also open up the opportunity to be able to talk about, and I wish more Christians knew this, and if you go ahead and watch my debates where I lay this out, it'll help you to understand it. But the fact that the New Testament transmission process, the free transmission of the text over time, is much superior to what happened with the Quran, and especially with Uthman's revision, which is found in Sahih al-Bukhari. It is, if you reject Sahih al-Bukhari, you are rejecting Sahih hadith materials as to the transmission of the text of the Quran. Can't get into that right now, but it is a way of opening the door to further conversations with your Muslim friends on that subject.
Thank you for that, Dr. White. I just want to ask Dr. Stephen Boyce, do you want to add to that?
I'll be so brief for the night is far spent, but I can't add much to what Dr. White said. This is definitely his field. I would say this, as I repeated earlier, if we missed it. The consistency of the New Testament manuscripts from the earliest stages, which we have very early attestation of, that were spread into the world in other languages, in transmission of the Greek text. We have consistency. It wasn't controlled by a single church. It wasn't controlled by a single person. Uthman's revision, we don't have that problem with the New Testament. We don't have it. We do have variances. We talk about the variances. We're honest about the variances. We lay out apparatuses with the variances. We're not hiding anything. It's right there in front. What do the Christians have in their text? Where do they differ in their text? And when we bring it down to viable and meaningful, we're less than 2%. Within that less than 2%, no single cardinal doctrine is hanging off of that lesser 2%. And it's not controlled by a church. It's not controlled by an age. It's not controlled by a person. The manuscript tradition, both in the West and in the East and in North Africa and in different parts of Caesarea, the message of the gospel had maintained itself the same. And I cannot think of any textual variant, unless I am just missing something, any textual variant on drunkenness that would affect our understanding of drinking. So these assertions are just assuming the Bible's wrong. It's got to have added that in there. And if we're going to go off of unique things like, well, the Bible's unique in of itself there, we have problems. Number one, not all Christians hold to what we would call formal drinking or social drinking. Some believe in abstinence. Some Christians believe that. So you can't throw all Christians in there based even on their interpretations. And then again, if we're going to go off of, well, that's only unique to Christianity, there's a lot of things Christianity has in their text that's unique to itself. There's a lot of things in the Quran that are unique to itself. So, I mean, if that's going to be our argument, we're going to be here all night. I just think it's a very, very weak argument. I think Dr. White gave an excellent answer and explanation for it.